suppose you have some games.
Hey guys, Brian, Classic G Body Garage. This video is in response to many of my subscribers who have asked me to do a video on how to install a kill switch on a G-Body. And why would you want to do that? Well, that's because you don't want people to steal your ride, right? So, you know, G-Bodies aren't the only cars that were popular cars to be stolen back in the day. Pretty much any GM car from the late 60s, hey Moby, he wants to be part of this video. Any GM car from the late 60s all the way through, I don't know, I think even the early 2000s that had a certain type of steering column, or basically all of them that had this type of steering column, they were very easy to steal and very popular to steal. Now what I'm going to do is show you exactly what I've done in the past without showing you my own cars. I have a steering column here, I have a complete wiring harness here, and basically all the GM cars, from what I believe, have a similar setup of the wiring that comes off of the ignition switch. Now, over the years, obviously these cars back in their heyday, very easy to steal just because of the type of steering column, and also with today's technology, the internet, car forums, you know, there's so many forums out there right now, and car clubs that are connected to the internet, and it makes car theft rings even more popular. Basically, people are going, or the thieves are going to the forums, joining the car clubs on the websites, finding out where they're gathering, whether it's a car show, a hotel, a drag strip, and they're targeting these particular areas to steal these cars because they know there's going to be an abundance of these cars there, and they're all going to be nice ones for the most part. A couple of years ago, I'm in the Oldsmobile Club and the Hurstol's Club, which had a show, I believe it was in Indianapolis. There were 4 or 5 Hurstols stolen from a hotel just because they knew exactly where and when those cars were going to be. Alright, so enough of that rambling. What I want to do is show you guys exactly how to install a switch on these G-Bodies, and obviously any GM car that has this particular column. Alright, what I have here is the steering column out of the white 78 Cutlass Parts car that I bought. And since the column's out, I figured this is a perfect opportunity to lay it here on the driveway. I have a wiring harness out of a 79 Cutlass Calais that I saved from a car that was being parted out years ago. An uncut harness, so I can show you exactly which wire to cut when wiring up a kill switch. Alright, now I mentioned earlier that this particular steering column, this old school steering column, you guys should know exactly what you're looking at here, used for decades on GM cars. Exactly what the thieves do to steal these cars and why they're so easy to steal. They can steal them in less than 5 minutes once they got your door open, or even before they get your door open with the Slim Jim or breaking the window. So they basically take a flathead screwdriver like this, and very easy on the tilt columns especially, is they'll stick the screwdriver right underneath that ring right there, and this is just pot metal, white metal, which is very brittle and easy to break. It's almost like china. Once they do, oh sorry if the wind is bugging the camera, of course the wind's kicking up. They stick the screwdriver right there, they pry it up, this cracks open, exposes the linkage in here coming off of the tumbler, goes through here. There's all sorts of linkage back in there, they break that off. There's another lever, you can see the 2 levers here. This one's for the ignition switch, and the other one, you can see it move. Oh, that was the tilt lever. You can see the other one moving for the brights, and here's the other one. You can see the other one moving for the ignition switch. So all they got to do is crack that open. It exposes all the linkage right there, the lock, and voila, it unlocks the steering column and moves the levers for the ignition switch. So what my advice to you is, other than wiring up a kill switch, get yourself a column lock, because that harnesses everything together right here so they can't break your column, which I have invested myself, so because I'm a little tired of replacing steering columns. Alright, let me get to the kill switch itself. this wire, this is the ignition switch right here, as I showed you. This is your typical complete under dash harness. Here's the fuse box. This is out of a 79 Cutlass Calais once again. Wire, gauge cluster, you get it. These are the two plugs, typical. Two plugs coming off the ignition switch. One has a clear plug, one has a black plug. This wire right here, this purple wire, this is the wire that actually engages the solenoid when you turn the key. And what you need to do is cut that wire and wire a switch in series with this particular wire. All that's going to do is open that connection so nothing happens when you turn the key. You turn the key, you're going to get power, but nothing's going to happen when you turn the key. It's basically just going to do this, and nothing's going to happen. That kills the starter. Now there are other ways, which I'll show you in a minute, on how to install a kill switch besides just tapping into the ignition wire itself. And what I have here is the white Cutlass had a kill switch on it. Now this isn't really a switch, but this is an ingenious idea here, which I've actually used myself in the past. You can see I wanted to save it. Here's the remnants of the purple wire that I just showed you, followed down. And what they used here is basically a plug for a guitar amp or an old school stereo headphones. You mount this in the car somewhere, under the dash or wherever you might put it. You pull this plug out, it opens the connection. You can take this with you, or you can hide it in the car. So if you got a toggle switch, they might find a toggle switch, just flip the switch, or any other type of switch. But if you have a female-male plug like this, whatever it might be, plug it in, and you got yourself a completed connection. You unplug it, you take that with you. So that's how you tap into the ignition switch itself. You can see the purple wire, remnants of the old harness from the white Cutlass, and this harness is a good harness, so tap into that wire right there. Now there are other ways that you can hook up a switch. I got a distributor cap sitting right here. This is the main power going to the distributor, to the coil that creates the spark. See that says battery right there, or bat. So this is the main power wire that goes to the battery. So if you cut this wire and splice a switch or whatever you might want to do, that's another way. Now what's going to happen with this one is a couple of things. If they go to steal your car, they can crank it, it'll crank and crank and crank, but it won't start. So what it's going to do, it's going to burn up your starter, it's going to kill your battery, but the good thing is it's going to create a lot of noise, which sometimes you might want. But the bad thing about this switch also is, say you're cruising down the road, someone happens to flip the switch, or you flip the switch yourself, it's going to kill your car, it's going to kill the spark, and then it's going to stall your car as you're driving down the road. The ignition switch, kill switch, you can flip it on and off all day long when you're driving on the road. It's not going to do anything because it's only in effect when you go to start the car. And there's also yet another way, which I don't have it in front of me, is you can tap into the solenoid itself on the starter, so it basically kills the solenoid. It's pretty much the same thing as wiring up the ignition switch kill wire. Now one thing you want to make sure of in wiring up a kill switch in your ride is use the same gauge wire that was used in the main harness, because if you don't, if you use a thinner gauge wire, the wire that you solder to the main harness is going to get hot, and that's something that you don't want. You can see the wire that was used on the white Cutlass switch, they used a thinner gauge wire, so this wire probably got hot, but not hot for very long. Either way, use the correct gauge wire. Also use a kill switch that is at least 6 amps. You want to make sure the switch can also handle the current that's running through these wires. So that's pretty much it. What I went through here is how to install a kill switch on a G-body or any particular GM vehicle that uses this style old school column. Now when installing a kill switch in your ride, you want to make sure that you are creative, because if you're not creative, that switch is going to be found. You hide that switch under the hood, under the seat, under the dash, in the trunk. Whatever you got to do, just be creative so the switch isn't found, because obviously if they find it, they're going to take your car. You can use a series of toggle switches, whether it's on, off, on, anything like that. You could run it through the power window switch, where you have to hold the switch in the up position to start the car. You can use the plug like I showed you, or any type of plug. You can even use a magnet switch, where you got to take a magnet, hold it over top of a particular area in your car to engage that switch. So hopefully this was informative for you guys. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. Shoot me a message in my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And most of all, please subscribe. All right, guys. Classic G Body Garage signing out.